one and all present here today. I, Aditya, and my teammates from the Aeronautics team Project Vimana will take you through the roller coaster of our conceptual designing process. We have 5 subgroups amongst ourselves, which are structure, aerodynamics, propulsion, avionics, cockpit, and ergonomics. Now, our problem statement is to design an electric light sports aircraft specifically for tourism purposes. We started the designing process by estimating the max takeoff weight denoted by W0. Before we start the designing process, we have to know the 4 fundamental forces: lift, weight, thrust, and drag. When lift is equal to weight and thrust is equal to drag, we call it a leveled flight. Over to Ashwita.
The max takeoff weight is broken down into the empty weight, fuel weight, crew weight, and the payload weight. So basically the max takeoff weight equals empty weight plus fuel weight plus crew weight plus the payload weight. So this is the data that we collected. So we first found the max takeoff weight of 30 different two-seater LSAs and then took the average of all those weights and got around 580 kgs. We considered each person to be 70 kgs with a luggage weight of 10 kgs. Then we collected the data for different parameters for all those 30 LSAs and then took the average max takeoff of all those planes. And we firstly got 643 kgs, and then by using multiple iterations, we got 580 kgs as our first max takeoff weight was overestimated. This graph shows how we got 580 kgs by using multiple iterations. Over to Anjali.
Hi, I'm Anjali and I'll be talking about the performance requirements for our LSA. We decided on some basic performance requirements by looking at those of other light sports aircrafts and by figuring out what we wanted our plane to be used for. We went with a cruise speed of 60 meters per second at a 3 kilometer altitude with an endurance of over an hour. We decided on takeoff and landing distances of 200 meters as we wanted our plane to be used for tourism and it shouldn't require too much space. Our rate of climb was altered multiple times and brought down to 689 feet per minute so we could lower the thrust to weight ratio. Next slide. After setting some basic requirements, we moved on to more detailed ones using the constraint diagram. We found the thrust to weight ratios at different points, the vertical speed or the rate of climb during takeoff and while landing. We used the formulas with the different wing loading values. The wing loading is what is shown as W by S in the formulas. The feasible region from which we could choose our thrust to weight ratio was on the left of the landing constraint, above the other curves, and from this region we took the lowest thrust to weight possible as 0.21, and we found the wing loading to be around 375 newtons per meter square. Thank you.
So I'm Sarvesh from the structure team. So the structure team decided upon the design and dimensions of the aircraft, that is of fuselage, wing, empennage and landing gear with the help of inputs from various other subgroups. For the design of the fuselage, we went with the semi-monocoque design that you can see here in the picture. The reason being it provides an internal structure and strength as it has longerons and stringers, unlike monocoque which has a stressed skin as its main support. Second, it can be molded in a streamlined manner, unlike the early open truss structure which is rather rigid. Third, even though it is relatively heavier, we can meddle a little with the weight by changing the materials used for the skin. And for landing gear, we are thinking to add 2 wheels at the front and a small wheel at the behind part.
Hi, I'm Rish from the structures team. I'm going to be talking about wing platform design. Wing platform consists of the shape of the wing from the top view. The 3 factors that are very important to understand the wing performance and overall aerodynamic characteristics of a wing are aspect ratio, wing area, taper ratio, and sweep. The aspect ratio is the ratio of wingspan to wing chord, and we've chosen 9 chord. And for the wing area, we've chosen 50 meters square. The taper ratio is a decrease from wing root to wing tip in wing chord or wing thickness, but in wing chord we've chosen 0.85 for main wing. And our aircraft is forward swept, but only for the trailing edge, which is the frontal side of the wings, but only for the back. We're going with a high wing configuration so that we can use struts to overcome bending of the wings, as we went with a high wingspan, which is 11.62 meters. We're using wings with a dihedral angle of 2 degrees each as to provide stability. Even if a gust of wind harshly hits the aircraft, making it tilt, the center of gravity will pull the aircraft back to its original position, causing no damage. Because we're using tapered wings, we're going with a root chord length of 1.64 meters and a tip chord length of 1.29 meters. We're going with 9 as our aspect ratio because an increase in aspect ratio with constant velocity will decrease the drag, improving the performance of the wing when in climbing altitude. Although with an increase in aspect ratio, there is also an increase in the wingspan length, causing an increase in the weight of the wing structure, which means the wings would be heavier. Besides the aspect ratio, a way to change the planform is by tapering, which again is decreasing the length of the chord from the root to the tip of the wing. In general, tapering will cause a decrease in drag and an increase in lift, but there's also structural benefit due to the saving of the weight in the wing. So this way the weight gets compromised and it all balances out.
So the empennage is basically the tail, which consists of a vertical fin, horizontal stabilizer, elevators, and rudders. It mainly creates force that acts upon a lever arm to help the plane for a pitch moment and yaw moment. So how did we calculate the dimensions of our tail? The first thing that we did was to get the historical data for tail volume ratio for aircraft similar as ours, with which we got our ratio to be 0.7 for horizontal stabilizer and 0.04 for vertical fin from various papers. The formula that you see here is for the tail volume ratio, and the first value that we had frozen from there was of lever arm for both vertical and horizontal stabilizer, which is 75% of fuselage length, that is 4.13 meter. And by computing the values, we found out our area of stabilizers. The next thing that we did was that we looked into the student research papers and found out the trend of aspect ratio and taper ratio for a conventional tail, which helped us get our length of stabilizer. Next slide, please.
Space scientist.
So we thought that an aspect ratio and taper ratio 1.3 and 0.5 for horizontal stabilizer and 3.5 and 0.5 for vertical stabilizer would be good. With this, we got our horizontal stabilizer length and area as 3.38 meter and 3.28 meter square, and the vertical stabilizer length and area as 1.49 meter and 1.7 meter square. Thank you.
So hello everyone, this is Kushagra from the aerodynamics team. So our team mainly worked to decide which airfoil to be used for our aircraft by comparing the different airfoils that are existing. So how did we do that? We first started with the airfoil requirements. The airfoil requirements were a low-speed airfoil because we are working on a light sports aircraft. Other one was the high lift to drag ratio because that would result in greater efficiency. The airfoils we considered were the NACA 441-2, NASA NLF, and the Clark Y airfoil. The NASA NLF. So as you can see on the screen, the specs are on the bottom left, and on the bottom right, we have the graph of the CL versus alpha. On analyzing this graph, we get that it has a better lift to drag ratio. It's a thicker airfoil, which makes it a good airfoil for a low-speed aircraft, but it has a rapid stall characteristic. The next one is the Clark Y airfoil. On the bottom left corner are the specs of these airfoil, and on the bottom right corner is a CL versus alpha graph of this airfoil. On analyzing this graph, we can see that, on analyzing the picture, we can see that it has a flat bottom, which streamlines the angle measurements for the propeller, making it simpler to create the wings. Also, it has smoother stall characteristics if we compare with the NASA NLF. But it is comparatively less thicker than all the considered airfoils. Over to Ashwita.
Next comes the NACA 4412. As you can see from the graph, there's good lift to drag ratio and better lift even at a lower Reynolds number, as the blue line almost overlaps the orange line. So we chose the final airfoil to be NACA 4412 as it has a better stall behavior, a good lift to drag ratio, as well as a greater stall angle. As you can see from the graph, that the gray line has a smoother curve.
I call upon Srilasya from the propulsion team.
Hello, I'm Srilasya from the propulsion team, and our main aim was to design an electric propulsion system for our aircraft. So what me and Anjali worked on till now is first we started by estimating the battery weight, because in an electric aircraft, unlike conventional fuel aircrafts, the battery weight won't change throughout the flight. It'll remain the same and it'll be part of the MTOA. So we refer to planes with similar MTOW or maximum takeoff weight specifications, planes like Pipistrel Alpha Electro, and we used its battery weight to come up with the average battery weight of ours. It's 122 kgs. So our battery weight was 120 kgs average. So we also had to find the motor requirements for our aircraft in order to satisfy the thrust requirements. So our max power output has to be 90 kilowatts, our continuous power output has to be 75 to 85 kilowatts, and our rotations per minute or RPM has to be 1500 to 4000 rotations per minute. Next, our propeller details. So for our propeller, we decided to go with a 3-bladed configuration that has 1.625 meters in diameter. We got these values by referring to more planes with similar specifications like electric LSAs that require the same amount of thrust. Then we had to use a graph in order to find our propeller efficiency and pitch angle of the propeller. So what a pitch angle basically is it's the angle between the chord length and the plane of rotation. So as you can see the graph, it's a graph which has propeller efficiency versus the advance ratio. The advance ratio is J, which is equal to cruise velocity upon n into D. N is the rotations per second and D is the propeller diameter. So we had to find J1 and J2, and on those curves we had to find the maximum value of the propeller efficiency. Therefore we got 0.84 as our propeller efficiency, and as you can see, each curve represents a certain pitch angle. So we took 20 degrees as our pitch angle because our propeller efficiency also falls upon there, and it's in between our J values. So that's how we got our pitch angle and a propeller efficiency. Lastly, we also looked into the general working of a battery management system or a BMS and how it basically works. So it's connected to the batteries and it helps give the pilot updates on the battery health and the charge remaining. We also looked into the PDS or the power distribution system, which helps distribute power from the battery to the motor by receiving inputs from the throttle stick in order to generate adequate thrust from the propeller. So this is what we've done till now, and next we have to look into battery management system like in depth and the battery configuration. We also made quite a few mistakes with the motors and the requirements, which is why it took so long. But in the end, we went with a custom motor to fit our design. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Nikhil. Avionics is a vital system that allows pilots to control the plane. Now, Aditya will say about the instruments used in this LSA.
We will be using 3 vital controls in our aircraft as we are making a low-speed aircraft, which are speed indicator to tell us at what speed we are going, vertical speed indicator to tell us whether how much we are ascending or descending, and our altimeter to keep a track of our altitude. Next, we will need a pitot tube in order to get the data for the above 3 instruments, which is for which the air has to enter through the tube. And the data, once the data readings which we need is gotten, the drain hole in the same system will remove the air and then to avoid any clumsing, we will be placing our pitot tube under the wing. Thank you.
This LSA will use the GPS system for aircraft as the navigation system. We are choosing GPS as our LSA and navigation system because our LSA will be an international product, and GPS is available internationally. For first, we will use the Gagan navigational system, and afterwards, when our aircraft is in demand, we will also make the GPS variant. Thanks.
Hello everyone, I am Sneha Munshi from the Cockpit and Ergonomics team, and I'll be updating you all about our work. So as you can see, these are the dimensions of the cockpit that we found out after researching, and these are the different views of the pilot under 2020 vision. So basically I'm going to explain all these views. So max upward view is the maximum upward view that the pilot can see without moving their head or straining their eyes. And the max downward view is just its opposite. And the horizontal line is basically when you see straight. And then you can also see the angle of the seat should be 60-degree vertically. Over to you, Sneha.
Hi, I'm Sneha Kaur from the cockpit design. So we have found basically that how the seats are to be made. Seats are to be made with aluminium foil and block of polyethylene attached to it, and a layer of cloth or leather. And also we have found the dimensions of the cockpit, where the pilot and his co-pilot will sit. The length of the cockpit seat is 16.5 inches, and the height of the seat is 20 inches. The length of the seat from the base is 10 inches, and distance between the instrument panel and seat is 20.5 inches, so that the pilot will not have to move, and he or she can basically do it without any difficulty.
For the gratitude, I would like to thank Dr. H.K. Narahari for his guidance and support. And we are thankful for our friends and family for constantly supporting us. We would like to heartily thank Nikita ma'am and Suja sir and the whole team of SSCRD for providing us with this great opportunity. And we would also like to congratulate our team and ourselves for accomplishing this dream and what seemed like a mission impossible. Thank you everyone, and we are open to your questions. You can post your questions.
Project our conceptual design light sports aircraft is mainly targeted for tourism. Other than that, it can be used for flying short distances here and there. And that is basically the main purpose of the aircraft.
So basically the first digit tells the location, the camber percentage, and the second digit tells the location of the maximum camber in tens of core, and the last two digits tell the percentage, the thickness percentage. I hope that answered.
Okay. Just to add to it, so it says 4% camber at 40% chord length and 12% thickness. So this is what it means.
Okay, so first of all, it was a wonderful project. Right, and since I'm majorly from this background, just to give a little intro, so I'm myself an aeronautical engineer, and I have been in Moscow for a long time. I just came back to India, right? So I could see that back there are a lot of experimental projects, and I was always complaining that I don't see much of that in India. But I'm so happy that after long I could see students designing and they conceptualizing this electric flight. So yes, I like the idea that they divided the whole work in terms of what it is actually being done like in real life, so that you actually have an economics department, your wing department, your stabilizer department, and so forth. So that teamwork is much appreciated. And in terms of specifications for their level, for their because I'm not sure what is the educational background of the students. I don't have the idea whether they are college students or school students. Can you please let me know? It's good that they have a clear understanding of what seats need to be there and what kind of wing design needs to be there. So it was really great. And I wish them all the luck. If they do have any further inquiries or they need any other guidance, I'm always open to them. I think Nikita has all my contacts. Thank you for inviting me, by the way. I thoroughly enjoyed the presentation. And so you can take my contact from her if you need anything in terms of aviation, if you need to connect to laboratories where you can actually realize it. So we do have a working lab back in Delhi where we support the experimental prototypes. So if any of these students want to come up and they want to design, actually see how their design works in real life, I would be more than happy to take them. Having all said and done, you can always ask the satellite team also to contact me, and I will try my best to get their projects funded, because we work in the commercial sector, so we do hang around a lot of investors and other people. We'll try to get their project funded, but before that, we will try to realize it in the small scale lab at least. That's what we can do.
As I said, it's a brilliant work, and I wish my own students do this kind of work or this amount of work. It's really, really amazing for school children, or I wouldn't say children because they have grown up mentally. From this presentation, I see they're as good as at least a third or fourth semester BTech students. So it's pretty good work. I wish them all well. So, excellent work. So for all the teams have done very, very well.
It's an excellent team and a lot of talent, right from all aspects of the thought process. And of course, the presentation skills are great.